there, and welcome to this deep dive into something I think you'll find pretty fascinating, AI companionship. So imagine, like, a world where your closest confidant, maybe even your gaming buddy, is a sophisticated AI program. It's like something straight out of science fiction, you know?
Yeah.
But get this, they're like major players in the investment world, right?
Right.
Well, they're suggesting that this whole AI companion thing is a lot closer than we might think.
Interesting.
Yeah. And their recent report is called, Is AI Companionship the Next Frontier in Digital Entertainment? And that's what we're diving into today. And let me tell you, it is a real eye-opener.
I bet.
So, okay, here's the thing. Right now, the AI companionship market is pretty small. We're talking about only about $30 million. But ARK Invest predicts that by 2030, this market could explode, and I mean really explode, to somewhere between $70 and $150 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. That kind of growth is just mind-boggling. So, what's driving it? Well, it's not just about chatbots spitting out those pre-programmed responses anymore. This is about a fundamental shift in, I think, how we connect with each other and find entertainment in a world that's, becoming more and more digital every day.
Yeah. What's really fascinating here is how several trends are converging at the same time to make this whole AI companion thing possible. We've made incredible leaps in artificial intelligence, particularly with these things called large language models.
Large language models.
Yeah.
What are those exactly?
So basically, imagine feeding a computer program a massive amount of data, of text and code, like an astronomical amount. We're talking everything from books and articles to, entire coding libraries.
Wow.
And these large language models, they analyze all of that data and learn to generate human-like text and even engage in really complex conversations based on the information they've been trained on.
So it's not just about pre-programmed responses. These AI companions can actually learn and adapt their communication based on this massive amount of data they've processed.
Exactly. And, when you combine that with the fact that people are spending more and more time alone these days and that the cost of actually developing these technologies is steadily decreasing, you've got, well, a perfect storm, really, for a major shift in how we experience companionship.
Yeah, it's like all the pieces are falling into place. And, the report actually gives some really compelling examples of how this is already playing out in the real world. Have you heard of Replica?
Yeah, Replica is a great example of how people are forming genuine connections with AI companions.
Really?
Yeah. It's this app where users can create these AI companions, and what's remarkable is that a lot of users report developing real, genuine bonds with them. They share their thoughts and feelings, their secrets.
Wow.
Some even go so far as to say they've experienced feelings of love for their AI companions.
That's pretty wild. It really makes you wonder about the human need for connection and how that's evolving in our, increasingly digital age.
Definitely.
And it's not just Replica either. Character.ai, this is another one. It takes this whole concept of personalized AI experiences to a whole new level.
It's absolutely.
What's Character.ai all about?
So on Character.ai, millions of users are creating and interacting with their own custom AI characters. It really highlights this demand for diverse and customizable AI companions that are, specifically tailored to individual preferences.
It's like having a friend, a companion built just for you, which is a pretty fascinating concept.
Yeah.
And this whole trend, it's not limited to just those dedicated AI companion platforms either. Even the gaming world is getting in on the action.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with that?
How gamers are increasingly creating modifications to existing games that introduce intelligent AI-controlled characters into popular titles.
Oh, cool. So instead of just interacting with pre-scripted characters, gamers can now have these dynamic, almost lifelike interactions with AI companions within their favorite games.
Exactly. And it's really starting to blur the line between human players and AI characters to the point where it's becoming harder to tell them apart.
Wow.
Think about how far video games have come, from those simple text adventures to the incredibly immersive 3D worlds that we have today. AI companionship seems to be on a similar trajectory, evolving from, basic chatbots to these incredibly sophisticated virtual beings that could soon become a regular part of our lives.
It's mind-blowing to think about how quickly this technology is advancing, but it makes you wonder, why are people so drawn to this whole idea of AI companionship in the first place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The ARK Invest report, they highlight this trend that might offer some clues, actually.
Okay.
So get this. Since 2003, the average American's daily alone time has, get this, increased by almost 40%.
40%, that's huge.
It's a really significant jump. And, while there's definitely debate about what role social media plays in all this,
Right.
the fact remains people are like increasingly seeking connection and, AI companions with their ability to provide that on-demand interaction and those personalized experiences.
Yeah.
It might be one way to kind of address this growing need for connection that's out there.
Yeah, it's almost like having a friend on call, like 24/7. Someone who's always up for a chat or to join you in a game or whatever. But it kind of makes you wonder, could this lead to people becoming like overly reliant on AI for companionship and then like withdrawing even further from real world interactions?
Right. It's a valid concern. Technology, it's supposed to enhance our lives,
Right.
not like isolate us even further. It's like with any new technology, finding that right balance is going to be crucial.
Yeah, for sure. It's about finding that sweet spot where AI kind of complements our social interactions instead of replacing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, thinking about like the evolution of technology and stuff. It almost feels like AI companionship could be the next big thing in entertainment, much like video games were a few decades ago.
That's an interesting parallel, actually.
Yeah.
Think about like how home consoles, they brought those classic arcade games into our living rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that made that kind of entertainment way more accessible to way more people. AI companions could do the same thing for social interaction,
Yeah.
Like breaking down barriers and making those meaningful connections more readily available to people.
And when you think about the affordability of AI companionship and the accessibility, really compared to like going out to meet new people or even just like maintaining your existing relationships, it starts to make sense why this technology could be so appealing to so many people. But, let's talk about the business side of things for a sec. Developing these like really sophisticated AI companions, I mean, that takes some serious computing power, right? And that can't be cheap. Right. So how do these companies plan to make this whole thing profitable?
That's a great question. You're right, the technology is expensive, both to develop it and to maintain it.
Right.
Right now, most AI companion platforms, they work on a subscription-based model.
Okay.
So like you pay for premium features, exclusive content, that kind of thing.
Right.
But ARK Invest, they think this is going to evolve.
Really? So we might see a shift from just paying to like access the platform to actually spending more within these AI worlds themselves.
Exactly. The report, it highlights a couple of potential revenue streams that could emerge from this whole thing.
Okay, like what?
One of them is microtransactions.
Microtransactions. So like buying, what, virtual items for your AI companion?
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine you're buying a new outfit for your AI buddy, a virtual pet, maybe even like upgrading their digital living space or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's very similar to how a lot of those free-to-play games generate revenue today.
Yeah, that makes sense. What other revenue models are they predicting?
Another potentially lucrative avenue is like AI-influenced advertising.
What's up?
So imagine this. Your AI companion, just based on your conversations, your interactions with it, subtly suggests products or services that it thinks you might be interested in.
That's a little bit of a gray area, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sort of blurs the line between like helpful suggestions and, targeted advertising. I feel like some people might feel a little uneasy about their AI companion becoming like a conduit for marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider for sure. Transparency and user control are going to be like paramount as this whole technology develops.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how companies, navigate those ethical considerations as these AI companions become more like mainstream. It's a lot to think about,
Yeah.
On the one hand, AI companions have this incredible potential. Like we could use them to combat loneliness, and they could offer this personalized entertainment and companionship that we've never really had before. But then on the other hand, we have to consider the potential downsides. Like what are the ethical implications of all this? And how will this impact our social fabric as these AI companions become more, integrated into our lives?
It's definitely a fascinating dilemma, and it's one that, we'll need to navigate very carefully as this technology continues to develop.
Yeah, no doubt. If AI can really provide companionship and alleviate those feelings of isolation like we've been talking about, what should the ethical considerations be?
Right.
How do we make sure that these AI companions are being used responsibly
Exactly.
in a way that enhances our lives and doesn't create these unhealthy dependencies?
Right.
Or further isolate us from real human connection?
Exactly. It's like finding that balance is going to be so important.
It is a delicate balance, that's for sure. And it's something that we as a society really need to discuss and figure out as we head into this uncharted territory, you know?
I totally agree. What's important is that we're having these conversations now, like while the technology is still evolving,
Right.
we have a real opportunity here to shape its development in a way that benefits, all of humanity.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of AI companionship. It's definitely a topic that's going to spark a lot of debate and raise even more questions, I think, as the technology keeps advancing. So here's something to think about, and maybe even something to, share with us on social media. If you could design your perfect AI companion, what would it be like? What would you talk about? What qualities would be the most important to you? And, what would you call it? Connect with us on social media. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear your perspectives on this whole, rapidly evolving landscape. Until next time, happy diving.